Well, Rob, you started pre-season with a win, but how do you sum it all up?
Oh, it's like anything in these pre-season games. They always feel like a bit of a mixed bag. Probably with about 10 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go, it was what you call a very pleasing, probably satisfactory run out, and we've got a game time against a lot of players. But you know, I've got to say, I was disappointed with the last 10, 12 minutes to concede some relatively soft tries, kind of one after the other, like we did. I was a little disappointed with, but having said that, you know, you've got to always look at the positives in pre-season, haven't you? You know, first run out, a lot of what we wanted to do was very positive. Some elements of our game look very strong, and as I say, I suppose I'm disappointed in the last 10 minutes, because I always like to think that one thing you want to show in every game and every minute you play is a really strong attitude to not give up anything easily. And it just felt like we gave up something a bit easily at the end there. And you know, I'll be a little critical with the players over that, but at the same time, you've got to be positive about the good things. And the good things, we looked in pretty much complete control of the game in the first half, and for good sections of the second half. But it's like, as I said, you know, we've got what we want now, which is a match video to analyse stuff. We can start now to do individual reviews with individual players. We can start to look at some of our formations and patterns. You know, we can start to look at why we conceded 38 points. Do you know what I mean? And that's all positive. There's
only so much running you can do in pre-season and lifting weights. Yeah. You want to get out and play, and the players want to see it. For you as coaches, it's just as important. You want to see how they react, and stuff for you to work with, really. Well,
definitely. I mean, the decision we have to make as coaches, and the way we have to talk to the players, is that, you know, if we want to be a really ambitious club, and if we want to talk about being a regular top 6 side because we want to be in the Champions Cup on a regular basis, if we want to talk about being where we were last year and pushing and challenging for the top 4 for the whole season, you actually have to be pretty harsh on yourselves, and you have to be prepared to work very hard, and you have to be prepared to take some of the tough stuff. And what this game will allow us to do, yes, it will allow us to highlight the good things and the things that went very well, but it'll also let us start to talk to the players about the standards in some of the other areas. You know, we conceded probably too many soft penalties, as I say, we conceded too many soft points. So, you know, those are going to be the harsh realities of what we have to learn from. The positives are, you know, in a game of rugby we've scored over 40 points, which also takes some doing. So, as I said, you know, we won't. I don't think it's like a game where we can say it was all great or it was all bad or anything like that. I think a lot of what we did, the boys, I'd tell you the one thing the boys did look was enthusiastic to play rugby, and that's probably the single most important thing, and everything else, that's the foundation that we'll add everything else to.
You had a busy summer bringing in a lot of new faces and that, and you gave pretty much every one of them today a run out in some form. When you looked at the two squads, it shows the strength you've got there now, Rob.
Yeah, and I think that's the truth of what we've seen. We look a very strong squad. What we have to make sure we do now is that our quality, when we put out a front-line team, is of the high enough standards, and that's what you use these games for. You use these games, A, for us to work on the quality of what we want to do when we get a 23 in a league game, but also to make sure that, you know, we know who the top 23, the top 25 players are, and that's what pre-season is all about. That's the challenge for the players, and it's a challenge for us as coaches.
And obviously the good news this week, you saw Sam Hill and Thomas Francis commit their futures to the club. Mitch Lees has done likewise now. How important is that moving forward?
Yeah, well, I think it's like anything. You know, we feel like one of the most important things about, you know, your recruitment year on year is to get players who are playing well and improving and you're happy with and have done well, and keep tying them down for extended periods, so you don't have too many chopping and changing every year. We feel very comfortable with the squad we've got at the moment. We're not going to add a lot next year, probably. You know, you can look at our under contract list now, and most of the guys now are pinned down for at least most of them for at least 2 years, and that's what we want to do. We want to have some genuine continuity, and we want to add in selective positions, a little bit like we've done this year. And I think Mitch, you know, has done very well in his first year, and it was a very simple decision for both him and for us to extend for another year.
Was he one of those players that, again, you've seen him in the Championship, that you've identified him, that you knew he could make that step up, and he showed it last year?
Yes, very much so, and I think we're still of the belief that he'll keep improving with more time in the Premiership and with more time in a professional environment. And as I said, you know, he's fitted in very well. He had a lot of game time last year. And we think, you know, that he's got the potential and the materials to keep improving as a player. That's the key for us. You know, he's only just kind of scratched the surface of what he's capable of as a professional player, and we'd like to see where he might end up.